think I'm entitled? You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Hey guys, welcome to Strange Suspicion. If this is not your first time here, welcome back. If this is your first time, my name is Pia, and we talk true crime here. We've been working on the Bryan Kohberger case. Before we get started, I wanted to thank you guys so much for all the love and support that you showed us during our first live. Bob and I were very touched by not only the people on our panel, but you as our community being, for the most part, respectful. We did have some trolls, but we get rid of those right away. I'm glad you guys ignored it for the most part and stuck around for most of that really long live stream. We're gonna try to keep it to 2 hours maximum, and we're gonna go for every Monday. We will be trying to do a live, as well as Thursdays will be the pre-recorded premiere, just like you're watching right now. We did check out our analytics, and strangely, we have 34,000 returning viewers, but we only have 2.5K subscribers. So if you're watching this video and you just forgot about it, it would be great if you would push the subscribe button and join our community. We only have 3 rules: no religion, no politics, and no disrespect. Everybody's welcome in this community, no matter who you are, as long as your focus is true crime and getting justice. In this case, and in every case we decide to cover as a community. Now,
so help me.
Let's get back into the case of the Idaho 4 and the accused Bryan Kohberger.
We gotta figure this out, guys.
I'm not gonna believe this, sir.
There have been thousands of people that have likely been through it throughout the years.
Pity.
Let's talk about this car, guys. Okay, so we've been told all along that it's a Hyundai Elantra, but let's keep in mind that this car was in motion when it was being photographed. I actually went past the grocery store today with Bob, and I saw a car, and I was thinking, is that a Hyundai Elantra? It was white. I turned my head, and it was a Tesla. A Tesla, guys. So this car could be anything. It could even just be a hybrid police car. Do they have those in Moscow? I think they do.
By at 2:58 a.m. and uses a digital overlay to place a Hyundai Elantra on top of the vehicle. Strange Suspicion took it a step further and superimposed the photo of a white car believed to be the Elantra that was caught on security camera by a local gas station that same night.
So if you do a little research and you take a picture and you superimpose the picture, you learn a lot about the picture. Some people have said this picture was taken on a computer screen with a phone, so you could kind of see the reflection in it. But we do know that those police officers were driving in a hybrid police car. How about the DNA? It's very interesting to me that this knife sheath, this like clean knife sheath with no blood on it, had trace DNA of Bryan Kohberger. I mean, have you ever been to like the thrift store and you look through every single thing? That's crazy. Imagine how much DNA is all over the place that belongs to you. Who's to say that Bryan Kohberger didn't decide to go check out stuff at the store and he was like, hey, what's this? And he picked it up and he unbuttoned it. He said, I want that, and he put it back. Maybe he read about it in class and he wanted to see one in real life. Let's not forget this guy was getting an education in criminology. When I did my research for my psychology programs, I had to go to mental hospitals and I had to like talk to people who were not all there, guys. There is a lot that has to be hands-on, in-person learning. So if that's something that he wanted to explore, who's to say he didn't just touch it at the store and then somebody at 1122 King Road had the same one that he touched? When I was doing haunted house acting, we always went to thrift stores and I would just go through every single shirt. Every one of those shirts has my DNA on it. All over the place, guys. I was all over the country acting. Lots of states, lots of thrift stores, lots of fingerprints. But The DNA was said to be found on the button snap. Now, the thing about that is, it's brass. It's impossible. It's not going to happen. DNA collects really well, like on wood and on glass and on plastic. But on brass, not really. It just slides right off it. It's not easily tested on brass. It's not a great piece of evidence to use against Bryan Kohberger.
So fast, she just got in my car, took off. Eastbound on Highway 40 past the substation.
And I think that's not even relevant anyway. Like, if they're releasing that to the public, that's probably their smallest piece of evidence against Bryan Kohberger. Perhaps Bryan had some kind of evidence against them. Perhaps something went down at that interview and he expressed being upset not getting hired there. And they had to cover it up. They had to shut him up. Could be something as simple as that. But if you want to convince me that Bryan Kohberger has done anything, it would be really great if someone could explain to me how he killed 4 people in one house without anybody hearing it. It doesn't make any sense to me. And not going up the stairs. Guys, there's way more ways to get in that house. Way more ways. There was a ladder on the side of the house. There's a tree next to Maddie's room. Jack DeCour had a video on TikTok. It was crazy. Obviously been scrubbed. Perhaps some of you have seen it. Jack was balancing a whole, bike rack on his chin. Like a bike rack where you lock your bike up. He had it on his chin. And he's walking around balancing it on his chin. He's doing weird stuff, climbing in trees and climbing up things and planking and doing all this stuff. I wouldn't put it past him to be able to go from a tree 2 feet to the porch. That's not even hard. You could probably extend your arm that far. Just grab on and pull up. He knew the layout of the house. Murphy's not gonna bark at him. Right? That's like Murphy's daddy. It would be like your dog barking at someone who lives in your house. I know we didn't live there, guys, but they shared the dog. They were together for 5 years. Not sure how old Murphy was, but he didn't look 5 years old to me. They both loved that dog very much, and that dog probably trusted quite a lot of people. So I'm not convinced there was anything going on in the stairs. Where's the blood? I mean, how long did somebody have to put plastic up? That doesn't even make sense. Unless somebody let them in while they were sleeping and let them quietly, place plastic around the bedroom? It doesn't make any sense. There would be DNA all over the place. And there's all kinds of statements online about how before they called the police, a lot of people went around into that house. There should be tainted evidence all over the place. There should be dozens of DNAs. Dozens. There was supposedly a party at their house on Friday night, the night before. So I'm not really sure how there's only Bryan Kohberger's DNA on a knife sheath. There should be Hunter, there should be Pete, anybody who is coming over to party where Ethan's partying at with a bunch of sorority girls. Maybe even nobody was home that lived there. Who knows? Maybe somebody stayed there, hidden out in a closet, or came while they were gone and hid in a closet. That would explain that they didn't have to go up the stairs. But I feel like it would be a great tragedy to disrespect these victims and the families of these victims by convicting the wrong person. If you disagree with me and you want to leave a comment, that's fine as long as it's respectful. I'll respect your opinion as well. But I find it really hard to believe that Bryan Kohberger is being accused of such a horrific, quick crime. I've heard talk about the naked man. Somebody referred me to the video of the naked man on another creator's channel, and I checked it out. And I don't know, because frats, all those drunk frat boys, they probably go streaking all of the time. It's probably part of their initiation. Could have been a coincidence, but maybe it wasn't a coincidence.
Seminole High homecoming, but it's not the football game that brings people to their feet, it's this. A student bearing his buns in a streak across the field.
Star Darius Rucker faces several drug-related charges after getting arrested by deputies in Williamson County. We first told you about this yesterday. The sheriff's office says Rucker is charged with simple possession, casual exchange, and violation of registration law. We just received a new affidavit from the case. We're learning the situation happened about a year ago, back in February of 2023. Officers say they stopped Rucker's car because of an expired tag. The officer, when they arrived at the car, says that they found a weed pen and pills, which turned out to be psychedelic pills.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way it's one person. How could one person do all of that, guys? By himself, with 2 survivors in the house. I don't want to implicate anybody in this crime. I don't want to make assumptions, and I don't want you to think that anything that I know is fact. Nothing you know is fact either. We just know what's been released. I know I saw that thing on Paramount, if you saw that, about the true crime people saying that we're intrusive to families, disrespectful to families, we want clicks. It's really not true. A friend of mine got murdered a couple years back, and there was no justice. It was the most ridiculous crime ever, and he lost his life. I care about victims. I care about justice. This could happen to any one of us, guys. We could be put in Bryan Kohberger's position, and there'll be hundreds of thousands of people around the world making opinions without even any trial or any fact. You could be made into a monster. For anything, do you have a lot of tattoos? Do you have a criminal record? Were you ever aggressive at work or anything that would make you seem out of the ordinary? And then you're in the wrong place at the wrong time? Like Brian, an ex-addict that wanted to work for them, but maybe knew a little too much. Someone will work for Moscow Police Department and then later work for the Pullman Police Department, or work for the Pullman Police Department and then go to the Moscow Police Department. They're very close. The cities are very small and very close. Maybe if you wanted a promotion, you would go to another police department. But it is important that you guys understand that in Pullman, Washington, right around the same time that Bryan Kohberger was accused of this crime, the police chief, the assistant police chief, and a lead detective were all convicted of sexual assault. Maybe Brian wanted to know who's going to be in charge when they were let go. Maybe they didn't like that he talked about it, or
I don't know what it is.
it's like a really easy person to set up. Who's going to stand up for the guy? They don't want to move the trial. You know why? Because they want it to be in Moscow. And who in Moscow is not directly affected by this? There was a quadruple murder in their town. Don't take my word for it, but I'll tell you this. They need the big bad wolf to be caught. So they picked a guy so they can feel safe.
Called it home. It was on a Sunday afternoon, and it took me a second. I really had to think about what I had just heard. It was incredibly hard for the community, but it was also really, really hard on our officers, some of whom were very young, and that was the first real major crime scene that they had encountered. So emotionally, it was a very, very draining day.
a police officer is killed, almost always at least one and usually several of those fatal mistakes are present.
Like a piece of cake.
He responded to a suspicious incident. And then during that incident, after he arrived, a moron decided to steal his patrol vehicle, which ultimately ended up resulting in us chasing him, and then in a tragic accident where 2 individuals were killed because of that moron.
Guys, if it's not Bryan Kohberger, none of us are safe, especially true crime creators. I have not yet seen one true crime creator who makes their content just to get clicks or for clout. I see a lot of dedicated, big-hearted people, as well as their subscribers, who care and want things to happen right and just. We want justice and truth. I don't want to get set up, do you? Gosh, that would be so awful. And I can't imagine all these people who came into the lives with the names Demetrius Robinson, Emma Bailey, Jack Showalter. I don't know who they were, guys, but I want you to remember that you saw them in the live. And the reason for that is, when you read something or you hear something online, you might want to look into it yourself. Because people do things like that. There are LinkedIn's, Facebook's, Snapchats, TikToks, all with these people's names. Ethan Chapin, Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Goncalves, Xana Kernodle. That's who needs to matter right now, not who's right or wrong. We can decide who's right and wrong when the evidence comes out during trial. But for right now, let's just try to make a difference. Let's just try to help. Let's try to put pieces together that they've given us. And let's do the best we can with it. We're not going to get anywhere arguing with one another or insulting one another. When anybody makes it about that, true crime's not the right place for them. They don't need to be involved in that because they're taking the focus away. And in this case right here, all I care about is Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Xana. May they rest in peace. May their families find peace. May they get better sleep, have better days, cherish old memories, celebrate the lives of those that they lost, try to deal with all the publicity in a positive way and realize that people are trying to help, but some people do hurt, just like those fake people that were in the live stream. They email true crime people and they tell us they know this and they know that, but none of that's been released through the media. Everything that we've seen is alleged. Mainstream media is going to absolutely say whatever they're paid to say. That's their job, guys. That's the beauty of true crime. But the truth is still going to get out either way. I care that we can work together and try to figure this out. We do need to figure this out, guys. And we can, together. Unified as a community and as an entire true crime community. You need to bicker or fight or argue about whose footage is whose footage. It's okay. We're all trying to work together. This is for Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie. 4 people who never should have lost their lives in this way. Why? Why did this happen? Who did this? I'm like infuriated. And whoever did this does not deserve freedom. You just don't. That's not the way it's supposed to be. What do you guys think? I want to know what you think. I want you guys to know that I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate your thoughts, whether they agree with mine or not. And I really, really appreciate the content suggestions, that are sent to my email. If you need to email me, just go right over my channel description. You're welcome to email me. I don't have any problem. I read them all. I respond to them all, just like the comments. So go ahead and leave a comment down below, guys, and let me know how I'm doing and how you're doing, and let me know your thoughts about what I've discussed today. And I will see you in the live stream on Monday at 4:20. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Stay suspicious.
Stay suspicious.